Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Crystal, and today I want to talk about what's new for Cricut in 2022. Now, a couple of these items was actually released in 21, but majority of these are 2022. Now, one of my favorite products, which I'm going to be talking about today, even for all the way across the board for 2022 so far, even outside of Cricut, is the hat press. This is my all-time favorite item so far for 2022, but you may not realize that Cricut has actually released a few other things like sticker paper, printable vinyl, they have cutaway cards, new stencil vinyl, and all of those things. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and go over some of these items here today, so let's go ahead and dive right in. The first product I want to go over is Cricut's printable materials. These are going to be perfect for print and cut. We now have printable vinyl, printable clear sticker paper, as well as their printable sticker paper in white. Now, if you guys are not new to Cricut, you guys know that they've actually had these products in the past. They've actually redesigned them, redone the packaging and all of that. So we are so excited that they are back. Now, what's really cool is you can use these with your Cricut Maker, Cricut Explorer, whether you have the Cricut Explorer 2, the older models, you can still use this if it has that print and cut feature. So the very first one here is Cricut's printable sticker paper in white. It comes with 12 sheets that are 8.5 by 11, and it tells you what machines they are compatible with. So you're going to need an inkjet printer for this to create those stickers, and then you would use that print and cut feature. So as you guys can see, their packaging is always gorgeous. It's this nice storage here, so nothing's going to get damaged. And like I said, this contains 12 sheets. The next one here is their clear sticker paper. This is going to be perfect for labeling things like jars and such, or creating those very transparent clear stickers. This comes with 5 sheets, 8.5 by 11 once again, and it also works for your Cricut Maker, Cricut Explorers. And then you also have your printable vinyl. So you guys can stick this on all sorts of fun things, whether it's your laptop, cell phone cases, you know, decorating things like this. I always love how bright and colorful their package is as well, and they all have that same sleeve. Now for this one, the printable vinyl, it comes with 10 sheets, 8.5 by 11. Once again, it's for your Cricut Maker, Cricut Explorer, all of those machines that's going to have that print and cut. You're going to print them with a standard inkjet printer all the way across the board. So I'm super excited that Cricut has re-released these brand new packaging, so I'm curious to check these out. We'll be doing a video on these very soon, so stay tuned. The next product we're going to go over today is cutaway cards. So, you know, Cricut has had these cards with the inserts in the past, which they still obviously have. The cutaway cards, the way that these are going to work, let me go ahead and pull these out, is you are actually going to be able to weed just like you do adhesive vinyl, and you're going to be able to keep those pieces. So you're going to now be able to use designs that you may not have been able to use before because it wouldn't have held onto the card. So you're going to have with these, for example, this set here is got some blues in it. You have some different colors here like pastels. These right here are like your neutral tones, which would be perfect for brides, whether it's for a bridal shower or a thank you card. I think that would be really gorgeous. All right, so inside you're going to get envelopes, and then you're going to get these little inserts like so. So for example, this one comes with this really pretty blue holographic insert. And then your cards here, you're going to get a few different colors. For example, here's these ones right here. So inside here, you're going to have this sheet right here to peel away, which is sticky. So whenever you peel this away like so, you can see that adhesive there, you're going to stick this down, right? And then you're going to insert this with your Cricut Joy on that card mat. And whenever you cut this, you're going to weed away those pieces of cardstock. You would choose that you are using the cutaway cards inside of Cricut Design Space. And then you're going to weed it, like I said, like you would vinyl. And you would have this appear whenever you go to weed those pieces. Like I said, it's going to allow you to use designs that you couldn't use before. So I am very excited about these cutaway cards as well. Now, whenever it comes to these cutaway cards, there's a lot more than these 3 to choose from. For example, this one right here has this really cool iridescent holographic, where these ones have more of that looking where it's like chunky glitter, but there is tons more colors to choose from. The next product that Cricut has released is their stencil film. So they have redesigned their stencil film. So this is going to be perfect for creating those signs, whether you are creating one solid color, multiple colors. And I'm actually going to be using some of this today with the hat press, so stay tuned for that. Now, you can purchase this for your older machines, for example, your older Cricut Explorers, Cricut Explorer 2. So you'd purchase the packaging like this. Or you can purchase it for your smart die cutting machines like your Cricut Maker 3, Cricut Explorer 3, and it's going to come like this, as well as your Cricut Joy. So you can purchase the smaller one for your Cricut Joy. That's also going to be smart. So if you're not familiar with smart materials, you do not have to use a mat. So for your Cricut Maker 3, Cricut Explorer 3, and your Cricut Joy, you do not have to have a mat whenever it comes to these smart materials. So like I said, you can purchase those for the new ones, or you can purchase it for the older machine. So I'm super excited to test this one out with you guys today. And like I said, we're going to be playing with the hat press for this one. Next up is a product that was actually released towards the end of 2021. Now this was sold out for a little bit and they were kind of hard to get your hands on, but now you can pretty much find them. So I'm really excited to show you guys in case you didn't know or you've been wanting to get your hands on them, you could definitely do that now. These are the Cricut Stackable mugs. So as you can see, they have this little groove here at the bottom, so they just stack right on top of each other, which allows you to create this really fun, you know, patterns or cohesive designs. You could do single designs or full wraps if you wanted to. So you can use these with Cricut's infusible ink as well as sublimation and things like that. So I'm super excited about these ones here. I will be demoing these very soon, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. This does come with 4 mugs, so that way you can stack them, you know, just like so. So like I said, I really wanted to show this item today because it's not a 2022 item, but it is in stock now, where it was hard to find before. So I really wanted to show you this. So I'm really, really excited. So now Cricut not only has their smaller mugs, they have the 15-ounce mugs as well as the stackable mugs. For the next product that Cricut has released for 2022, this has to be my all-time favorite craft product of all time. I think it was super, super smart. I really love it. And so not only for 2022, this has got to be one of my all-time favorites. I'm so excited to see something like this to where any crafter can have this in their home. Before, you had to purchase a really big industrial style hat press, or some heat presses come with the 8-in-1, which is still a big heat press, bulky and all of that. Now, you can have something like this that you can throw under your counter, you can put it in the cabinet, you could keep it on the counter because it is gorgeous. What's also amazing is that Cricut has included the hat form. So with the Cricut EasyPress 3 or 2 or 1, you can purchase the Cricut pad, which allows you to use that with your t-shirts and all of the things for a pressing pad, as well as heat resistant and all of that. So what's really cool is Cricut has designed one that fits your hat. So this is going to form to your hat. It's really awesome. So this would be the bottom here, and then you would just put your hat on here, which I'm going to completely demo this in just a second, so you guys will kind of see how that works. Now, I want to be super transparent. Whenever you first purchase this, because it's going to come with these pieces here, which I'll go over this in a minute. When you first purchase your Cricut hat press, it's going to come with your hat press, it's going to come with your hat form, as well as a roll of strong grip tape. When you first get this guy, it's going to be covered in plastic, and it has a huge warning on the bottom that says this is an allergy warning, because it is full of walnut shells. So I definitely want to be super transparent with that, is that this is full of walnut shells. So if you know somebody, if your child has a nut allergy, your mom may be coming over and she has a nut allergy, you may want to steer away from this. So I would definitely be super safe. So maybe if you purchase this, it's in that enclosed, you can ditch this guy, and we can definitely find other ways to still utilize it. So I definitely want to be super transparent on that, but I do love the way that this guy works. So I'm super excited about it. Like I said, it contains those. And then you will get a roll, just a small roll of their new strong grip tape. So Cricut does have a blue one, which is their heat transfer tape, so if you are using infusible ink and all those things, but now they have a purple one, which is perfect. It goes along with their strong grip mat, which is in purple, and so this is in purple, so it's really easy to distinguish. This is their strong grip. So you're going to get a small roll of that so you can see how to use it, because you're going to want to use the strong grip with the hats, and you can definitely purchase this separate, just like you can their blue tape. Now, as somebody that actually owns a hat press, I've actually owned a few different ones, and it is actually hard to take down your design because they always want to pop up. So I'm really not surprised, because Cricut is so genius, that they came up with this, because it works flawlessly. I love this stuff, so I highly encourage you guys to try this stuff out. It works great, and use it with your hats. But like I said, when you first purchase it, it does come with a roll. Now, Cricut is also selling hats, so if you want to purchase hats like this that you can use with infusible ink, they also have some other colored hats that you can use with their iron-on and all of those things. Let's go ahead and test out that Smart Stencil material along with the Cricut Hat Press. So we're just going to go ahead and pop this guy open. Now, you could definitely trim this down to the size that you're going to need, or you can use the roll holder. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So if you guys have the Cricut Maker 3 or the Cricut Explorer 3, you can use the Smart Materials. And if you have a roll holder, you're just going to insert it inside like so. You're going to feed it right through here, and then right underneath those little white feet like that. All right, so let's go ahead and make our project. Now, I've already opened up the Cricut Design Space app, and then if you go to their finished projects, you can simply type in hat like I've done here, and you can see several different hat projects, or there is tons of images to choose from. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose this one here, and what I love is it's already sized out for us and all of those things. So all I'm gonna do is go ahead and hit make it. Once again, you could double check your sizing here just to make sure it's perfect for you, but I've already done so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say without the mat, because we're using the Smart Materials. Now, I'm not using iron-on, I'm stenciling this on, so I don't need to mirror anything. So next we're going to go ahead and click next, and then you're going to see our machine load. From here, I'm going to go ahead and choose all materials, and then I'm going to just simply type out Smart. So if you search Smart, it's going to bring up all of the Smart Materials. So right here we see Smart Stencil, we're ready to go. So you can see that we're flashing to load. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm not pushing on it and just holding it, and then it's going to load it in there. So what it's doing now is making sure that I have enough materials, which we do because we're using the roll holder. Once it's done its work there, you should see the flashing, and we're going to go ahead and cut it out. All right, so we're ready. Now let's cut it out. All right, so now what we're gonna do is, while it's still in there, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this from one side to the next, and what that's gonna do is go ahead and trim that down. So you can simply pull this out. You're gonna then pull back on your roll holder. I like to just go ahead and get it out of my way, and then I'm gonna hit the unload, and there you have it. So let's go ahead and weed this out and make a hat. Now, before we start weeding anything, let's go ahead and set up our hat press. So as you can see here, I've already got a hat press, but now I have a second hat press. Can we set up a second hat press? What you're gonna do is go ahead and turn on your hat press. It's gonna start flashing there for you. You're gonna hit set up a new press, and you can see that it already found my hat press. I'm gonna go ahead and hit connect. You're gonna have a Bluetooth, and it's gonna start sending all of that information over here. I'm going to go ahead and hit agree. There's terms in use. If you want to read those, you can definitely do so. I'm going to click activate here. And as you guys can see that process there, it's sending all of that information over to this hat press. So yes, you can hook up more than one hat press. Say for example, I have two different studios. So I actually have one over there and one here. So say for example, you may have one that you keep at the office. If you're a teacher, you may keep it at school, and then you have one at the house. But yes, you can hook up more than one. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and hit done, and you can see our hat press. So I'm going to go ahead and click on our next one because it's at the bottom of the row here. We're going to go ahead and click it there. For today's project, I'm actually going to switch it up just a little bit. We're going to set our very own custom settings because Cricut does allow us to have our own settings. For example, I'm using some fabric paint here, and you can heat set this with an iron or a heat press. So I'm really excited to test that out today. So I'm going to be able to set my very own settings using this. So I've got a gold and a pink here. I'll have it linked down below, as well as everything else that I'm using today. And then I have this little foam dauber, because whenever it comes to a stencil, you really want to daub it on like this and not necessarily paint it on with a brush, because that's where it gets underneath. All right, so here we go. So let's go ahead and start our hat press so that way it can start heating up. Once again, once you set it up with the app, you don't have to use the app. You can definitely do it manually. So you can simply just turn it on, and then you would hit it again to get it to level 2, hit it again to get it to level 3. So level 3 is going to be around that 400 degrees that you can use infusible ink and sublimation ink with. But number 1 or number 2 is where I would want to be for that paint. But what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is set my own custom. So what you can do is either start a new project, which you're going to be able to choose, Cricut iron-on or Cricut infusible ink and all of those things. But what I'm going to do is set custom time and temp. So what you get here is your temperature and your press. So I'm going to go ahead and press mine for around 315, but we need 30 seconds. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go ahead and bump this up to 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and bring my time up here to maybe around 3:30 is what I'm going to do. So we're going to do 3:30 and then we're going to press for 30 seconds. So we're going to go here, make sure this is on 1 minute. So you can change your minutes and seconds as well. So I've got it 3:30 for 30 seconds. Then my next options, do I want to preheat the blank? I can turn that on and you can change that. So if I want to have 15 seconds, I can do 15 seconds, etc. So you can definitely do that. So I'm going to go ahead and keep mine at that 5-second mark, and then I'm going to go ahead and send settings to the press. All right, so as you guys can see there, it's already at 198 degrees. It's continuing to go. It only has 32 seconds to be where it needs to be. So as you guys can see, there is no screen on this little guy, but it's on the app. So if you want to see the exact time and temp, and then you want to have it have that pre-press, and if I want to skip it, I can definitely do so. So I can simply just, hit that go, let that 5 seconds go there, and then it's going to take me straight away over to my 30 seconds, as you guys can see here. Now, if I need to, I can always hit that back button and go back to my 5 seconds. So we're at 297. I'm going to set this guy aside, and let's go ahead and weed this out and get our paint on. Now, the way that this particular paint works is you're supposed to let it dry for around 24 to 72 hours, air dry, and then you're going to apply you're going to heat seal it with a heat press. But because I'm recording this today, I'm going to speed it up with a hair dryer, but I would encourage you to follow the directions and set it aside. But I just want to go ahead and show you using your own custom settings with different products. All right, so and plus we're going to be testing out the awesome stencil material. So what we're going to do is when you're working with a stencil, you want to, whenever I cut this down, I left a border here to allow our ink to not go on the hat, right? So whenever you weed this out, you want to weed this with the pieces you normally would keep. So we're going to reverse weed, if you will. So we're going to weed out all of these letters here. All right. Just like so. Now, depending on how intricate your stencil is, you may or may not need a piece of transfer to get it over. But with my particular design, I don't need it. The only piece I'm going to have to transfer over is the center right here inside of that B, and I'll do that by hand. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and actually pre-press my hat. So let's go ahead and load it, and then I'm going to do all the inks and stuff because I want to make sure I'm pulling out that moisture. The way to get your hat onto your hat press, number one, you can definitely open up and adjust that. You want to pull any sort of paper out if there's anything in there. And the way that I like to do it is I like to pull down this sweatband. As somebody that's been working with hats for a long time, you really want this guy to be out of your way to avoid any pressing issues. So I usually pull that down, and then we're just going to go ahead and slide this on here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it right on here. You may have to make some adjustments, so if you need to, you can definitely pop this guy open first just to make it easier. Like I said, I like to pull down my sweatband there. We'll get it on here and then pull this over, just like so. All right. And then you can flip it over and tighten this guy up, just like that, all right? So there you have it. So this is gonna be on bottom, and if you need to make those adjustments, you can. And you kind of tap it a little bit. You just wanna make sure this is nice and flat there, all right? So I've done that, it's flat, it's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and press for that 5 seconds. So if I hit go, you guys can see that phone has done that for us. So we've got our timer, and you want light pressure. So my biggest problem with this is wanting to really push down, and that's gonna give you these crease marks. So as somebody that's been playing with it for a while, because I have another one, you definitely wanna be careful and use Cricut's recommendation of light pressure. You're really just holding it there. So I've got that, so let's go ahead and work with our design. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our word vibe in here. So I'm just gonna peel the stencil stuff off here, all right? And very carefully, without tearing anything up, I'm gonna be super slow. So we're just gonna go ahead and slowly, carefully remove this guy off. Now, once again, depending on how intricate your design is, you may need a piece of transfer. All right, so I'm loving the stencil so far. Definitely some improvement there. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna figure out my center here, just trying to make sure I kind of center this up on the hat where I want it to be. All right, something like that. Now wanting to make sure that I don't have, so as I put this down, I really want to make sure that I'm not going to have any paint that can go underneath, all right? Now one thing that you may want to do, depending on how thick your hat is, because of the paint, you may want to put a piece of paper in between, like parchment paper underneath your hat here, but this is quite thick and I'm not gonna really go crazy with the paint, so I'm not concerned about it. So once again, you really just wanna make sure that's down nice and smooth so we don't get any paint underneath. And then I'm gonna grab that remaining piece. I'm just gonna take my weeding tool. Now, if you guys are curious about this, this is the interchangeable knife blade that Cricut has, so you can change it from a weeding tool. There's a few different weeding heads on here, as well as the knife blade that you can just kind of switch in and out. And once again, all of these things are linked down below. This one was released either last year or a year before that. And I do love it. All right, so here we go. There we have it. Perfect. All right. So I'm liking this. I like the placement. I think it looks good. You guys can see that this material, the stencil material, is definitely a lot softer than the other one that was a little bit more stiff. So this is super soft. It's going to be perfect for stenciling with our hats and t-shirts and tote bags and things. I'm really excited about that. You guys can see that there. One thing that I like to use Cricut's backing for, these right here, whenever you pull off your adhesive vinyl, I like to use these as paint palettes. So I highly recommend, don't toss them out, save them for your paint palette. So I'm going to take some of this fabric paint. Make sure you are working with fabric paint, not just any sort of paint. And then I'm going to get a little bit of that gold, and I'm going to get a little bit of pink. So I'm basically going to create like an ombre effect. So I'm going to be very careful because we don't want to get outside of our stencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm loading, I think I'm going to do half, like the top with the gold and then the bottom with the pink. So I'm going to load half of this. I'm going to do pink and then gold. I'm trying to decide. I think I'll do gold on top. So I'm going to go ahead and load half of this side with the gold and then the other half with that pink. All right. And I'll kind of dab that off just a little bit there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just go down like this. So like, once again, so I can create like that ombre. I'm going to go back in there. All right, go back in, get my paint, whoop, make sure I'm not going too crazy. You don't want to oversaturate. If you need to, just kind of pounce it off a little bit. And then I'm going to keep on going. All right, I'm going to come back in with a little bit of that gold on top. So you could do all sorts of fun colors with these and really get that really cool summer look. I'm going to go back in with just a little bit more gold up here at the top. So I need to go back in with that eye. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to get some more of that pink on here. So I know down here at the bottom, there's some pieces down here at the bottom I want to kind of brighten up. So maybe leave like the center where it looks like this really cool ombre. I think that came out really cool. And if I need to, and I need to blend a little bit more, I can go back in with that gold and start to bring that down just a little bit. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is very carefully peel this back up. There we have it. That looks so cool. Now, once again, the stencil, I think you would be able to set this aside and maybe wipe this off and reuse it again. This is a really nice stencil material, and I can't wait to try it out on a sign, honestly. I'm going to go ahead and peel off this little piece here. Now, once again, it does recommend that you let this dry for 72 hours, just naturally dry, but I'm going to go ahead and speed it up so we can press it. Now that our paint is dry, it's still on my hat form and it's ready to go. So the very next thing that you want to do is get yourself a piece of parchment paper, and we are going to press this for 30 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that up here. And once again, it is light pressure. So we're going to go ahead and get this on top, and we're going to go ahead and hit that go button. So you can use light pressure, and you could definitely tape down your parchment paper if you're wanting to, you know, move it back and forth from side to side, because for example, my paper is going to want to try to come up with me, but you want to just kind of move that a little bit, or just use some light pressure if you're going to hold it in place. Definitely don't be pushing down. You're just basically holding it there. We've got 8 more seconds, and this paint is going to be sealed and ready to go. So for example, if you were putting on this on something that you're going to throw in the wash, it's going to be good to go. All right, and there you have it. I was able to use that fabric paint with our Cricut Hat press, so you guys can see how fun that was. And you could definitely just do gold and do pink or do whatever ombre colors you guys want, but check out how awesome that is. So that's using something else other than infusible ink or iron-on. That's just kind of thinking outside of the box, using some fabric paints as well. I really love the way this came out. So cute and a ton of fun. The stencil vinyl was absolutely amazing. If you guys were going to purchase one thing out of everything today, I recommend that you guys try out that Cricut stencil vinyl. It is amazing, especially on fabric. You guys seen how nice and soft that was, and it really went over. No bleeds. It came out super nice. So I do highly recommend that. Once again, I can't wait to play with it on a sign. But there is our hat using the Cricut Hat press. Next up for 2022, Cricut has released 2 new models for their Cricut EasyPress. So they have released the Cricut EasyPress 3. They have released it in 2 sizes, the 10 by 12 as well as the 9 by 9. Now they are going to be releasing their Cricut Mini, which is their little small press. They are going to be releasing that in May, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. And then they are also releasing an auto press. So I'll kind of insert a picture here so you guys can check that out. They are releasing an auto press, so it's going to be like a more regular industrial size heat press. Now, it's not going to be for everybody. I know there's been a lot of controversy about that, but it's not going to be for everybody. You know, it may be for some diehard Cricut fans that has to have everything Cricut, or it's really going to be more for that small business. So somebody that's been wanting that heat press, but they want something to match all of their Cricut stuff. They want something that is going to be more elegant on the countertop and all of that. So you're going to have the new auto press that, like I said, that's going to be more like a standard industrial for small business, big business, and all of those things. Where something like this, even though I would use this for my small business, this is more perfect for the crafter. So like I said, it may not be for everybody. When you first open your Cricut EasyPress 3, you are going to get a tote, and you're going to get a piece of iron-on that's already cut out with the word Cricut in blue. Then you're going to have it already on your app, so you're going to see where it says to create this project. If you scroll to the right, it's going to walk us through those steps. So we're going to go ahead and hit Start Making. So it's going to give you a little tutorial. So if you need to, this is your very first project, you can watch your tutorial or you can click on Next. So it's going to tell us that we need to set our Cricut EasyPress 3 to 315, and then it's going to do a 5-second pre-press. It's going to press, we're going to press for 30 seconds. We're going to flip it over for another 15 seconds, and then we're going to let it cool and peel. So if we're ready, we're going to go ahead and hit Send Settings. So you guys can see that Bluetooth there, and now it's sent those settings directly. I did not have to punch anything in here, and you can see that our press is already at 198 degrees and going. So it says it's got 1 minute left to heat up. So now it even tells us how much longer we have for this to be ready to go. And then it's going to give you a little demo of what you should be doing, because we should be pre-pressing for 5 seconds, which you can do that while it's heating up. So to do so, you can see it's telling us to place it down on the Cricut pad, which we have done, and you can replay that if you need to. Place the tote bag down, and then we're going to go ahead and pre-press. So as you guys can see here, the press is at 5 seconds. So all we're going to do is get that on here. And if you hit go, it's going to go ahead and pre-press for 5 seconds. So wherever you're going with that design, that's where you're going to place it. So you see that went off. We're going to move it out of our way. Now you should notice here that it has changed to 30 seconds. So on its own, it has changed to 30 seconds, which is our next tip. So now we're going to go to press this, right? So it's telling us now to go ahead and put the iron-on down, and then we're going to press directly. Now this is a question I see all of the time is, do I need to cover this? If you see the glossy side, which would make the word in the correct direction face up here, this is a carrier sheet. So this is your protection barrier between your heat press. So we're going to place this here, right? So we're ready to go. And then we're going to go ahead and pop this right on top, and we're going to hit go, and it's going to go for 30 seconds. Now you also may notice that it says light pressure, so we don't need to press down hard, and we've got 22 seconds left. So this is going to give you a timer here as well, and you can see that same thing here. So we're just doing light pressure, just kind of holding it down, if you will, not as if it's going to get up and run somewhere, but we're going to hold that down. We got another 9 seconds to go. So we are almost there. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and lift this out of the way here. And then it's telling us to go ahead and flip. So you see we have not peeled yet. It's telling us to go ahead and flip. Once again, you guys notice that it changed it to 15 seconds here, so I didn't have to do all that stuff. So now I'm going to place this back on top. I'm going to hit go. You see the phone app took off on its own again. We've got 11 seconds here. Now this is something that sometimes I forget to do, so now it's going to remind you to do it. And when you do those custom settings, because you can customize your very own, you can choose to have that in there as well. All right, so now what it's telling us to do is to flip it over, let it cool, and then we're going to peel it. So once you've let it cool down, you're just gonna grab a corner there and peel. So as you guys can see, that was our carrier sheet. I'm gonna go ahead and get this little piece that's inside here and then peel. I always love that Cricut includes a finished product like this. It comes with something like a little canvas as well as the iron-on already cut out, so that way you can test it out and get the feel right away before you waste any of your materials and products. So there you guys have it. So easy to do, so easy to use as well, and I absolutely love it. So I'm a huge fan of this one. But once again, do you necessarily need to upgrade from the Cricut EasyPress 2? Not necessarily, but if you are just now getting into it, I would go straight to that Cricut EasyPress 3. And then also, if you really love the technology of how this works, you may want to sell your old one and upgrade. So totally up to you. The last Cricut product I'm going to be showing you guys today is the Cricut Light. So Cricut is finally coming into the light game. If you guys are not new to crafting, you guys know that there's actually been a brand that has been out for years that we all have purchased, and it is super expensive. So don't get me wrong, this is definitely a luxury item. It may not be for everybody. It's definitely for that crafter that loves to purchase those lights and have that extra lighting for weeding or paper crafts. I know for years I've always purchased one for my paper crafting, and this guy is amazing. So let me go ahead and go into the details. Super modern, super sleek look. Of course, Cricut has always went above and beyond whenever it comes to their product as well as their packaging. Super easy to unbox. It comes with your base, so just the flat circle with a little peg on it, and then it comes with this whole body piece as well as the plug-in. So easy to put together that you just take this, pop it down on that peg, you're gonna hear a click, and it's together. You're gonna plug in your light, and that's it. So easy to set up, and I really love how elegant and so easy it is to use the light. So you have two little bars. They just kind of go up and down. So you're gonna have your on and off switch, and it's going to also adjust how bright your light is, okay? So you have that first one there, and then you're gonna have your next one, which is gonna go from your warm light all the way up to a daylight. So there's 3 settings here. So you have that warm light, and then you have that mid-range, and then you have your daylight. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this to the wall, because what's really cool too is you can actually rotate this. So however you're using it, say if I was using it similar to something that was like a ring light and I was recording with it, doing TikToks or Instagram and all of that stuff, it's got a really nice filter on it. So you can rotate it towards the wall like this, so that way you guys can kind of see here. So that is our daylight. Then you have your mid-range, and then you also have that super nice warm rich color. The warm color is going to be perfect for nighttime. So if you guys are crafting in your living room space and you don't want to bother anybody, that's going to be perfect. Cricut has released this in 2 models. You have your desk lamp, which is going to fit on your countertop like this. And then you're also going to have a floor model. So you're going to have one that's going to stand up from the floor to right about in here. So just depending on what you're needing it for. For example, I have a few crafting friends that have actually told me they've purchased it just to put in their living room for a light, because you can purchase this to put, say for example, by your little sofa table, and you can just use it simply as a light. Or if you're a crafter, because it's really neat, it has this bar that's going to allow you to really bring it in. So if I was setting, say for example, in my chair and I was crafting, I can bring this around from where it turns into, if it was the floor lamp. If it was all the way up here, I could really bring it down to my surface, and that way I could be crafting down here and weeding, and I can adjust this if I need to, so that way I can be working. So I really do love the way that this light works. And like I said, so you can adjust your you know, your top, so however you're crafting and you need it, and you can get as close as you need it. So for example, here's my workspace here, and say, for example, I had it on that daylight and I was working on my paper crafts. I can get it as close as I want and really adjust that. It's just so easy with this little bar here to do that. And then once again, you have that 360 swivel, so I can take it in my workspace wherever I want to. If you guys are like me and your craft space becomes a mess, we kind of work wherever we can, and that's what's cool with this light. I can leave it where it's setting, and now I'm over here, and now I'm over here. So I do love that. Once again, it is quite pricey, so it may be something that you want to wait until it goes on sale, or once again, if you are familiar with these kind of lights, you know that they're already super pricey. But once again, it's super, super elegant. I do love the look. The blue matches the Cricut Explorer 3 as well as the Hat Press. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.